What you are watching right now is a quick scenario video. Unbeknownst to our self-defender, who's actually a soon-to-be victim, a crazed madman has been randomly shooting people in local parks. And unfortunately for our self-defender, he's getting ready to come into contact with that crazed criminal. So watch this scenario video and see if you can pick out all of the things that our self-defender did wrong. So in that scenario video, you saw our character make some huge mistakes that cost him dearly. And in today's video, you are going to learn 10 things that professional concealed carriers never do because they know their lives depend on it. And for new viewers to my channel, I've been in law enforcement for over 20 years, and I'm certified to teach police officers how to shoot through my state's police academy, and I was also forced into a self-defense shooting incident myself. So the information that I'm giving to you today is from real life experience. Oh, this little guy? I wouldn't worry about that little guy. So the first thing that professional concealed weapon carriers, or just people that carry guns professionally to begin with, the first thing that they never do is carry a junk gun for self-defense. Now, it doesn't have to be a super expensive gun that you carry for self-defense. It just cannot be a piece of junk. It needs to be dependable. During my career in law enforcement, it never surprised me of the pieces of junk that some people carried for self-defense. The simple fact is that if your life depends on that tool, you need for that tool to be, again, dependable. And the second thing that professional gun carriers never do, and that is allow their weapon to not be reasonably clean. A weapon that is all gunked up because you never clean it after you go target shooting has a high likelihood of having a malfunction. And you don't want to risk your weapon having a malfunction when you are fighting for your life. Again, if your life is going to depend on a tool, you are going to make sure that tool is in good working condition. Hey, you would not skydive out of an airplane without cleaning and checking your parachute first, correct? And the next thing that professional gun carriers do is they do not carry underpowered rounds, which means they are not carrying a 25 caliber or 32 caliber or something like that for self-defense. Simply put, they carry a handgun that shoots a dependable round because the most important thing is that you stop that attacker from completing that deadly attack against you. And the next thing that professional gun carriers don't do is carry substandard ammunition in their everyday carry self-defense gun. That means that they don't carry bargain basement ammunition or full metal jackets, again, in their everyday carry self-defense gun. While it is more expensive, they carry a good hollow point in their firearm, so it has a better chance of stopping the bad guy and less of a chance of hurting an innocent person behind him. And the fifth thing that professional gun carriers do is they never buy a gun for self-defense and then not train with it. Professional gun carriers will get the training that gives them the basic shooting fundamentals and then also training on their state's self-defense laws. Simply put, professional gun carriers know that they don't only need to know how to shoot that firearm, but also when to shoot that firearm. And the sixth thing that professional gun carriers never do is stop their training with their firearm. Professional gun carriers, once they've got down the basic shooting fundamentals, then they move on to more advanced firearms training like shooting while moving and also force-on-force training. In that scenario video that we watched, our character, because of a lack of good training, he failed to move and move towards cover when he first got shot, which made him an easier target for the crazed criminal to hit. And the seventh thing that professional gun carriers never do is fail to prepare for the legal fight after the physical fight. Just like you don't drive your car without vehicle insurance, self-defenders don't carry their firearms without some kind of legal protection, at least something that will pay for their attorney should they end up in court. Professional gun carriers understand how expensive it can be to defend yourself in court if they are ever forced to shoot a violent attacker in self-defense. And these legal self-defense associations are worth their weight in gold. They're just like firearms. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I personally use firearms legal protection because they will send an attorney to my location immediately after the shooting. They'll pay for my bond if I get arrested and a bond is issued, and they'll also pay for your defense attorney if you end up in court. But the most important thing for me is that right after your self-defense shooting, one of their attorneys starts heading to your location to start talking to the cops on your behalf. If you want to check firearms legal protection out, I'll put a link below, but let's get on with the next one. And the eighth thing that professional gun carriers never do is fail to carry less than a full magazine on them, and many of them even carry spare magazines. Again, in my 20-year career, it never ceased to amaze me how many firearms I came across where people only had 4 or 5 rounds in their magazine. And in our scenario video, you saw how our self-defender only had 4 or 5 rounds in his magazine instead of it being fully loaded, and it cost him dearly. And then if you are one of those people that say, well, if I can't take care of it in 5 or 6 shots, then I don't need to be carrying a gun to begin with, then you are just screaming to the world that you have never been in a gunfight if you say that. And the ninth thing that self-defenders never do is fail to carry a trauma kit with them. And the reason for that is not only are you able to help other injured people, but more than likely, if you are forced to pull a gun and shoot a criminal in self-defense, you are being attacked. And if you are being attacked, then there's a high likelihood that you will suffer injuries yourself. And folks, in full transparency, I never carry an IFAK kit myself. I'm stupid for not carrying one, but I am a minimalist. And the 10th thing that professional gun carriers never do is carry a gun while drunk. If a professional gun carrier is going to drink to the point that he is buzzed or intoxicated, he won't have his gun on him, and he will go someplace safe where there's pretty much a 0 chance that he's going to need to use it. And here's a bonus one for you. Professional gun carriers never dress like a thug or a slob while they're carrying, especially if they are open carrying. The simple fact is that if you are open carrying and you look like either a slob or a thug, that is the quickest way to get asked to leave a store or an establishment. And here's an extra bonus tip. Professional gun carriers never carry their firearm without a round chamber. Professional gun carriers know that when it is time to pull their weapon and pull that trigger, that there's a high likelihood that that's going to be in a situation where split seconds count. And when split seconds count, you don't want to be having to take the time to rack your firearm to load a round. So what are some other things that professional gun carriers either do or don't do that I may have missed? Comment down below with your input. And to see a whole playlist where I show what you should expect both physically, mentally, and legally if you are ever forced to shoot a violent criminal in self-defense, then click on the video that should be appearing on the screen just about now so that you can know what most other self-defenders don't know. Anyways, folks, this is enough internet for me today. I do need to get back to training. And folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.